indeed.
Hello, good afternoon. It's the Everton Daily Live. It's Thursday, the 6th of February, 2 days away from an FA Cup fourth round tie against Bournemouth. Opportunity for Everton to get into the last 16 with a victory, but it will be a very difficult game against a team that's beaten us twice this season already. Tough game. David Moyes will have his press conference tomorrow. We'll find out if who's available and who isn't, but I can't imagine too many players being available this week that weren't available last week. Maybe Seamus Coleman, but I don't know. Schmitty, the manager, said last week he was sort of like 3 weeks away, but he was back on with the rehab people, so he's not going to be available. So more than likely, barring Carlos Alcaraz, of course, his inclusion, going to be the same squad that beat Leicester City at Goodison last week. John, it's going to be a hugely difficult game, this one. Bournemouth, very good side, good on the break, quick, and they've beat us twice already this season, so it's going to be a difficult game, but it's at Goodison and Everton, they're in good form.
Yeah, I'll just look at their form first. You know, in the third round, they battered West Brom 5-1, then drew 2-2 away to Chelsea, then went up to Newcastle and battered them. Then battered Forest at home, and then wheels fell off moderately against by far the best team in the league at the moment. So a challenge. But I mean, I was there in the away game, and the gulf that the league table might suggest wasn't evident on the pitch.
They did have 6 players off that day.
Yeah, no. So
they were back now. Well,
no, that's right. Yeah. So, and that's where I was going. It wasn't evident. We were still in the Dyche doldrums. And even with half a team out, he thought, no, we'll just play the way we always play. Yeah. But it'd be interesting for them because they'll see a different Everton, won't they?
Yeah, and
they'll feel a different Everton as well.
Oh, God, yeah. They haven't got, obviously, Evan Nielsen, who played that day, or Enes Unal, the other centre-forward. Justin Kluivert's gone through the middle, or Ubatara, who has played against us last time.
Having a good time.
Why? Very good player, although missed an absolute sitter last week at 0-1 against Liverpool, which he should have rolled in for 1-1. But you're right, they're meeting a very different Everton than the 2 times they've played us this season, and very different feel around Goodison Park now. Confidence, team scoring goals. You can get at Bournemouth. We saw that in the game down there that you were at. We had opportunities. We just never took them. They did as well. Jordan Pickford made 3 or 4 good saves that day, but Everton did have a couple of opportunities that day that may have done better with. And that was when we were playing terrible. So
I think when the draw was made, it would have been expected for them to win. I don't think it's expected at all. We all go with optimism, don't we? But you're right, and perhaps you'll say it again tomorrow after the press conference. No doubt the manager will. They're a good team. And team being the operative word, that they play for each other. They know what they're doing. The structure, the manager's got it all. It's well oiled, basically.
The manager mightn't even be there by Saturday if Tottenham get beat tonight, according to reports. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It's a well oiled machine, isn't it? And if they catch you in the sense of their start, a bit like Forest in some respects, they're different types of team, but if they're on top, then you've got a problem. And if you fall into their plan, you've got a problem. So it'll be interesting to see if the high line that we were playing in the last game at home, we persist with that. With Tark on the halfway line, lining the guys up, saying, "Come on," because it's bold and but it has its risks as well.
But it's the only way to play.
Of course it is.
Sitting back on the edge of your box.
I'm not complaining.
No. I'm saying it's the only way to play.
And I think our heads shouldn't fall off. I mean, I think you've said it a couple of times now on a couple of shows. I think it was the last one would have been the last live I was watching. I was in the bath last night watching you two. Yeah, it was quite amusing. Jurassic Park, mate. Yeah. But yeah, it's you've said it more than once. We'll lose games if we're going to play up the pitch and be progressive in that sense. We will lose games, but the same type of play will also make us winning games that previously under Dyche would, if we're fortunate, would be a draw, but often a defeat.
Mm.
And if you look at, how many defeats we've had, it's very respectable. Well, of course it is, because we set off on a journey never to lose, and we've got a high number of draws as well, haven't we?
Mm.
So we may find between now and the end of the season we either win or we lose. In other words, there's always an outcome. And there has to be an outcome on Saturday, doesn't it? Even if it goes extra time penalties. So, could be good fun. It'll certainly finish under the light, won't it? Although the light day's getting brighter. They'll put them on, won't they?
Lights after 5 o'clock.
I was going to say, yeah.
We'll have it sewn up at 4:30. Be done.
Well, I'm going to be distressed if we're not 3-0 up at half time. I mean,
imagine if we are.
Isn't that sorted now?
If we are, Liverpool will be petrified, won't they?
Yeah.
There you go. Before I carry on, I just want to say thanks to John at Arrow Motors for sorting my car out very quickly this morning. So thank you very much, John. I watch us from time to time. Listen,
I thought you were going to thank me.
It's a real... Yeah. No.
Too many jobs.
You didn't sort my car out, no.
You didn't pay me, that's
too many. There's going to be occasions this season where we lose games, 100%. Yeah. There is. That's the way it is. But it's about performance level now. Can we get up to a performance level where
totally
we're in every game? That's the key. We're in every game. We go at teams and we give them an issue every game. Then that's all you can hope for. And then it's about padding the squad out and changing the team in the summer. We will have Carlos Alcaraz in the squad.
Surely, yeah.
We've been saying Everton have released training images of him and doing stuff. So I imagine he's going to be in the squad. He scored last week for Flamengo.
Like maybe James were talking earlier.
So even if he's a sub, I imagine he'll be there. So that's something positive, different face to see as well in there. It's about building, isn't it? David Moyes, there's an interview going around, isn't it, that he's done with beIN Sports, talking about wanting to change the way we play when we're safe, because we've got to get better and buy the players.
Sure.
Buy the players that he wants Everton to buy. He mentioned that he did reference it again on it, saying, got one or two things with PSR at the moment. But that'll hopefully be gone in the summer and we move to a different thing. Does he just mean by that? Because I've heard a few managers say this, and I know a lot of people take that as like, oh my God, it means we've got to sell someone.
They really need to put context into the
But
answers,
I think what he meant, you tell me whether you think or I'm wrong, or you think I'm wrong. I think he meant to go out and really make a splash in January with someone he would have wanted. There was just no room to do that without having to sell someone. And that's where the issues are. There isn't lots of headroom to go, well, he's, £20 million down payments, and we've got 8 to put down or something.
Well, that's not PSR though, is that?
No, but it's within the PSR budget though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
that's what they will always link back to that. So I'm using that as the context. There wasn't enough room there. Whereas that will be totally different in the summer.
Yes,
that's how I've read it, and that's what he said a few times.
Yeah, when he did his last press conference and he referenced PSR, it was just a bit of an odd context, and we shouldn't have to guess, really, should we? No. What we've had before is the claim. That sounds like I don't believe, but the claim that we could do deals, just didn't have the front money,
the cash,
to hand it over, which is not a PSR issue, that's a cash flow issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We then get new owners and we assume that cash is less of an issue. Might not be totally eliminated, but less of an issue. Then it becomes we've got a PSR issue instead. So I don't know whether there's a bit of games playing here, which is talking down our affordability is not bad. Because if people think, oh, look at them, they've got a load of players to bring in, they've got new owners, new stadium, money coming out their ears, let's put 25% on the price, and agents doing the same for wages and so on and so forth. So I think it's okay to have a strategy to just keep pleading poverty, basically. But I think and I'm with you, I think, particularly with the last press conference he did, and this interview, as you say, sort of keeps the same messaging going, is he's just setting the context of that. Whether it's called squad ratios or it's called PSL, whatever it's called, you've got this ceiling that ultimately, you could almost say, it doesn't matter. We know this about Newcastle, don't we? It doesn't matter how rich your owners are. You've got this artificial ceiling set by the regulation that says you can't exceed it. And we also know, and Everton fans in particular know this, that every single year, the ills of the past erode away.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, If not, it's probably this summer, isn't it? The 3 years when we haven't bloody bought anybody, yeah, and we've been just, positive on transfer dealings and all those sorts of stuff. They become the 3 years, don't they? So maybe that's where he's coming at it. The context has been explained to him that chalk and cheese, July the 1st, your ability to spend, David, is infinitely higher than it is now. It's still okay now, and we could have got players across the line, I'm sure, right? But he didn't see the value, did he? And I think that's okay. But it would be better and it can't come out in managers' press conferences because it's not their job to do. This is the sort of thing Kevin or the director of football should explain. I saw the statement, well, it was particularly done through Arteta, I think, wasn't it, that Arsenal did about why they did what they did in the window, which doesn't help them when they got battered last night. But it was very sensible, and it explained the context, and it was fundamentally just saying there wasn't the value in the market. We could have had players, but we chose not to. And I think because you've got that transition from, and we don't know the details of it yet, the Premier League board aren't signing it off till June. We don't know what the PSR or replacement mechanism is going to be, other than we know they're adopting what UEFA have. And then it's just about percentages and stuff, and you would think they would align with the European stuff. So that might give clubs like us, with a few bob to spend, increasing revenues and not playing in Europe, a little bit of an advantage if it becomes a bit of an auction for a player. So
yeah,
we can afford to pay more than others.
Well, our former CEO says he spoke to people close to the club and the Friedkin group, and Everton have got 200 million to spend in the summer. So I don't know where he gets those figures from, but there you go. I can't see that, but hey ho, there you go. So what are your feelings about PSR just in general, or a mechanism that curtails spending? Are you for it or against it? Because obviously you can't have the Wild West, can you? Because Newcastle and Manchester City theoretically could blow, and Chelsea, I guess, if they want as well, could blow everybody else out the water, theoretically. I don't believe it'd go like that, but they could. And then that just makes it even worse than what it is now. So what are your thoughts on a sort of cap mechanism of some sort, and what they're trying to achieve right now? Does it go some way to dealing with that issue?
Listen, Masters has been hiding in a bunker somewhere,
Yes, hasn't he?
Right, for a long time, and he'll have to come out when squad ratios comes along. What's the objective of the regulation? Is it to constrain ambition? I'm just caricaturing this. Is it to constrain ambition, i.e. retain the status quo, the big clubs stay the big clubs forever, blah, 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 and people stay in the middle of the table and 3 clubs bounce up and down every season, if you're talking about the Premier League?
Yeah.
Or is it to stop clubs going out of business? Which is what the claim was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the claim, but it's not real, is it?
I think it's quite laudable to have regulations that stop businesses going out of business. But these ones seem to do the former, not the latter. Yeah. So yeah, I'm more than comfortable with having regulations that stop businesses going out of clubs going out of business.
Yeah, of course.
But not at all for stopping owners, for example, investing in their own business.
Well, that was what we said.
So then you get the Wild West version where, you've got an investment fund of a foreign country who've got billions and billions and billions to play with, and they want to have some real good propaganda about their football club, and they could just buy everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that's your challenge then. Find the mechanism. And we talked about it years ago on here. The inverted model where the more successful they are, the less you're allowed to spend, and all that sort of stuff. So you could have percentages of turnover, all sorts of things, right? Everything, and you've got some really high profile sports where money's washing around like no one's business, Formula One being the most obvious one because it's very glamorous and all those sorts of things, who allowed the so-called smaller teams to have more wind tunnel time than the very successful teams, and so the idea being they want to have as many potential winners as possible. The sport does. Right? And if you want to extend the Premier League to say, at the start of every season, it's not beyond the bounds of imagination that anyone who finished in the top 10 the season before could win the damn thing, then you have to change something, don't you? And effectively you have to slow down the spending of those who've pulled the ladder up behind them, or accelerate the spending of those who are prepared to put the money where the mouth is, owners, right? And if you've got an owner who's not put his own money on the table, then find yourself a new owner or stop whinging, or both, right? But there's no appetite, because the way the Premier League does these things is the 20 clubs who happen to be the members at the time sit round the table and they decide what to do. Actually, that's an interesting point. My understanding is the new rules around PSL, squad ratios or whatever, will be voted upon or whatever, agreed by the current 20 members. I assumed what the new 3 promoted clubs would be in that meeting, but it's going to be done before then, apparently. So actually 3 clubs that these rules are not going to apply to are going to be sort of voting for them. Interesting. So let's see. Clearly, the way UEFA have done it with with the percentages, then Premier League could just say, if you're in Europe, you have to comply with UEFA's, even though you're in the Premier League. And therefore, we may end up with non-European qualifiers being able to spend more money, or a bigger percentage of their turnover than those who are not in Europe, which is a little bit of a help. The Wild West thing, I'm not convinced about. I don't know about you, Bas. There are only so many players, and you can't buy them all because they all want to play. So
for wages and everything, I'm not sure people would spend 500 million in a transfer market, but they might do, and that's the fear. You can't have. I'm just going to pick on Newcastle just because of I know Newcastle's owners aren't as rich as everybody tried to portray they are, because it's part of a bigger thing, but they're still wealthy, and fair play to them.
No, I get it.
If they decided to spend 500 million in a window, and then you've got Burnley coming up in the summer, that can't be fair. It can't be fair. So to me,
why? Because Newcastle.
Well, because you're moving away from what I think people have lost sight of what competition means. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean the rich just spend whatever they want and everybody else doesn't have any, and then that's a fair competition, because it isn't. Which is why we've got what we've got, and it's why, my opinion, it'll be a rarity when a promoted side stays in the Premier League from now on.
And this is the chat we've had, isn't it?
Rarity.
Because the gulf is just too big.
Even Leeds are doing brilliantly at the moment. They'll struggle next season. They might go straight, but they probably will be one of the favourites to be.
We have had a number of seasons, haven't we, of at least one of the Championship clubs, sometimes both of them, blitzing the rest of the league and going straight back down.
Burnley got 100 and or absolutely pissed it.
Scored for fun
and all that, and they were relegated in about March.
No, and that's why I made
to be the same.
Yeah, that's why I made the binary thing. Is it there to protect the haves? And it's hard to visualise that that's not what it's trying to do, because they're the ones, all the marketing's been done. They're the ones where all the international fans are, blah, blah, blah. But when the 20 clubs come to vote and say, shall we give the haves more money, because apparently they're the most popular clubs overseas, and the numpties say yes, then turkeys do vote for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's not like the 20 club or the 14, the 14 clubs are being downtrodden by the rules. They vote for them. It's astonishing,
Because money comes first.
Yeah, but it doesn't go to the 14.
No, but they all believe that one day they're the 6.
No, I don't think that's at all. I think what it is they believe that those 6 are the ones who generate most of the money for the broadcast income, and that their own income would go down if those 6 got the ump and went somewhere else.
I don't know. I believe, because I know when Everton voted as part of the thing, they believed they were going to be in that top 6. So they
I'm talking about recent votes.
Villa will do it.
Newcastle
will do it. Forest will do it now, because they'll think we're here to stay, even though they won't be. No. That's what it's like. That's what it's about. Anyway, that's a different story. Back to Saturday. What type of team do you think David Moyes will go with? Do you think he'll go strong with the Merseyside derby on Wednesday, or will he rotate some players? Do you think?
I think
Bournemouth, I think, will go strong because they don't have a game for another week.
Yeah, I think it's always a difficult one when you've got proximity. I heard Ped yesterday, and it's very hard to avoid saying, well, you know, if the man with a magic wand said you can have one or the other, you can get 3 points in the Premier League or you can go through to the 5th round of the Cup, which one are you taking? Yeah? They'll always be so romantics amongst us, those that I'll take the Cup game sort of thing. But so on the basis that you think the points are priority, yeah? Then you might say, well, let's not go so strong in the Cup game. But David knows us, doesn't he? Yeah? Everybody says he knows. He's one of us. And we want to win.
Yeah.
And the cliche is you take one game at a time. You know, we can all have hindsight and say, "Ooh, he shouldn't have started better. He's injured now." But you could have left him on the bench and he got injured in training. You know what I mean? So to my mind, I just have to think of walking that talk. He'll play pretty close, if not the strongest team that he can. That's what I'd do. Yeah. What would you do, Baz?
No, I think the same. I don't think we can't rotate the forwards because we haven't got any. So that's first and foremost. Had Chimiti been fully fit, or Calvert-Lewin or Breuer, whatever, if we've had one of them, then maybe you would. But then if I'm a striker, when I was playing, and every lad who's ever played football in any team, when you're scoring goals, you just want the next game to come.
wants to start
again. So Beto wants to play. He's just scored. He wants to play again.
Damn
so
right
therefore,
he does,
that's fine. No issue with that. If Tim Irabunan was a bit closer, then maybe you'd rotate. You might look and go, I don't know what he'll do with Alcaraz. I imagine he'll be on the bench.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Rather than starting. But Decore might be one that you look and go, he's 31. He's playing off the striker and working hard for 65 minutes. And he might be sort of, you know, you might want to save his legs a little bit. And therefore, maybe Irabunan comes in, maybe. You might look at a Drisser and go, 35 and he's unbelievable. Yeah. So actually he's the one I rest, and I'll play Decore further back with James Garner, and have whoever, Irabunan ahead of them, or Alcaraz ahead of, or whatever. That might be what if there's going to be any, maybe it'll be there. I imagine the back four will stay the same, even though he probably should start Nathan Patterson, really, to give him some, to see what he can do. And he's not going to do it in the Premier League because he's established. But then you take Jake O'Brien up when he's doing well and go, well, you're playing against Liverpool, mate.
Me and James chatted about this earlier
a tough
on.
One. It's a tough one.
And if you did it back to front, then keepers, I never get keepers being rested. You know, some managers.
I wouldn't play. Moyes won't drop Pickford.
That's what I mean. So some managers would always have your second string keeper, whatever, right? If then, like you said, I agree with you on the back four. You start and view is leave it intact. Then you say, well, Tark's been carrying injuries and stuff like that. I want to put Patterson in if I can. Let's see Jake as a centre back then.
Well, he might do.
So
that,
that's one. That's two positions actually from one decision, isn't it? If you like, and then as you go forward. Again, me and James are talking about, well, you would come back from your card stuff. Well, Decore's the one. Your first thought is around Decore. And I agree with you when you say, well, maybe Garner. And then you introduce, well, Garner, has he had a reaction from playing and all that sort of stuff? But I think the underpinning of it all will be strongest team I can put out. Absolute strongest team I can put out.
See, if I'm Patterson, I'm knocking on his door. I'm saying I want to play.
Damn right, yeah.
Give me a go.
I've had my little cameos.
Give me a go. This is you're clearly going to go with Jake, but I need to show you that I'm good enough as well. And you might be right with Jake O'Brien. Maybe it is. Maybe you do take Tarkowski out and go, got a derby on Wednesday. We need you firing full. And we're going to play Jake O'Brien next to Branthwaite. I'm going to go with that.
Take Jake out. Sorry, take Tark out. Make Branthwaite captain.
No.
Now, who would you make captain without Tark there?
Pickford.
Goalie? I'm not a fan of goalies being the captain, but hey-ho.
Why are you a fan of a centre-back being the captain?
Only because they can get up and down the field, which the goalie can't do.
Doesn't matter.
They only toss a coin anyway.
Exactly. We should have 11 captains out there. It shouldn't be one.
Oh, that's a lovely cliche. It's not wrong.
There shouldn't be any. No one should really. It's great going, oh, he's our captain and all that, but I like Tarkowski's great, but is he someone who grabs everyone together? Patricia Garner he's more of a captain than Tarkowski.
Leads by example.
I love Tarkowski. I think he's been a great signing. I think he's really good centre back.
Terrific. You liked how he smelt as well.
Well, he did smell beautiful. But Branthwaite, no, not until he commits.
Yeah.
Who else? Probably no one else, really. That's it. It is between Idris and Tarkowski and the goalkeeper. Really. But ultimately, it doesn't matter.
No,
Go
it
out and do the
doesn't.
job.
It doesn't.
Go out and do the job. That's all that matters, doesn't it? Give it to Alcaraz. Make him captain and give him the debut. I'm joking. It's a good opportunity, I think, for Everton to go into a game that, with no pressure of the points on it, it's just a game of footy at Goodison. We should always win our home games at Goodison, FA Cup games. Always, because the crowd, it's hostile.
Home draw.
The crowd can be horrible. They can give the team an extra 5% and kick it over the line. So why not? You know, make them, if Bournemouth are going to knock us out, make them have had to play really well to knock us out. And that's all that really matters. Absolutely. But I think, I don't know, I just think there's a little bit of a buzz around Goodison now, and there's a buzz around the players, and I think they'll be looking forward to this. And if you get past this one, last 16, you get another home tie. That's all you can ask, and then see where we go with it. But, you know, there's the little few smackings of 1995, you know, where we were in a relegation battle and we ended up winning the FA Cup as well.
Alan stoking the fire yesterday, wasn't he? You see him on social media?
No, I don't do social media.
He talked about around this time bringing in a bloke called Royal, who then won 3 of his first 4 games and got us away from relegation and went off and won the FA Cup. Yeah, I mean, reprise of that would be sensational.
I mean, the reality of that is we only escaped relegation in May.
I know.
By beating Ipswich away.
But that's not how you write the history, though, Baz.
Well, that's how some people rewrite it. I'm just giving you how exactly it is. But what was good about that FA Cup run was every time you played a game, it was like a no-pressure game.
That's the way.
It was just a game of footy, and Everton just kept ticking over and going bang, next one, bang.
And you
all of a
build
sudden,
some momentum, don't you?
And we had, you know, Norwich at home was tricky, and we ended up beating them 5-0. You know, when Newcastle at home they were flying. That was like they were the heavy favourites. You know, they were up near the top. We were on, you know, relegation battle. Everyone backed them. We knocked them out. Then we get everyone's favourite, Tottenham. Everyone wanted to win. You know, and they were going to destroy us at Ellen Road, and we battered them. And then Man United, of course, who just lost the league, so they were always... No, it wasn't. It was a dive. And then, obviously, they were always back to win the FA Cup. And we end up doing that against the odds. So you never know.
No.
You never know. It's been too long.
I mean, the mantra here, though...
It'd be lovely to get rid of Liverpool's bedsheet, wouldn't it, with the cake on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine Grohl men taking that to matches. It's embarrassing.
The mantra here, of course, is, which you rant is too strong a word for you, Baz. Not on camera, anyway. It's off camera, it's different. But for years, particularly under this Dyche period, just win your home games. The whole thing's different if you're strong at home. So that's the only... It's not that it's real pressure, but you come off a couple of wins at home. The last one was pretty damn good. And you go into the Bournemouth game with confidence. Very few changes. Some more strength on the bench as a consequence.
Yeah.
The manager's saying, just go play football, lads. In the grand scheme of things, just go play football. Then you get your dream then, don't you? If you go through. And you say, bring them on. Bring the next lot on. Who is it? Yeah, bring them. You know? And then you're into that perfectly balanced Goodison, you know, wins, draws, losses in Goodison derbies. And you say, well, now we're going to go out on top on that one as well. Before you know it, you think, well, what's the problem? Really? 6, how many games? Well, is it Derby's going to... How many? He's done 4, hasn't he, Moyes? So
it's done 4 so far.
So Derby will be his 6th game. And he could very well have, 4 wins in 6, which would be mad.
Well, it'll be his 5th Premier League game, and if he wins that, he'll have an 80% win ratio, which is
after
crazy.
You saying yesterday, it's only going to go... You didn't say the words, but the sentiment was, it's only going to go down.
It might stay as high as 75%, was what I was saying.
Absolutely not.
But it could, could.
But again, that fortressy type stuff, clearly there has to be a defeat for one of the two teams on Saturday. Yeah, clearly if after extra time it's a draw and it goes to penalties, you don't count it as a defeat, and then you try and avoid defeat against that shower of running away with the league crew. And you say, well, look, since he's walked through the door, Goodison's back to the way it was. You don't go near that
Take
place.
the Villa game out of it, and we should have got something out of the Villa
absolutely.
game. And that was he'd had the place for 2 days.
That's right, yeah. And then it was a person, you know, an individual error as well. You know,
well, it's 3 individual errors.
Yeah, well, one after the other. Yeah. But yeah, so we're all optimistic, aren't we?
I mean, isn't that the key thing? We're going into games now. It feels like everyone's very optimistic every game, and that's all you want. Me and Ped were saying yesterday. You know, I've gone on about entertainment. We should be entertained, and people can misconstrue that to mean, you know, oh, we should be like laying every week and 900 passes and doing this, that. But the entertainment, what I'm talking about is, you go and you sit down in your seat and you just want to see your team trying to win the game. You want to see goals. That's what you go to the game for, to have those moments where you're celebrating. If Everton try to win every single home game, and they come up short in a few, no issue. It happens. Some teams are better than us. They'll beat us, whatever. Some days it'll be, we've missed chances, or we make an individual error, like against Villa, and we lose the game. But we'll win a hell of a lot more than we had when we were petrified of the opposition.
Yeah.
Away from home, I said this with Deitch, get your form right at home, attack teams. Go away and bore the life out of the other 19.
Yeah.
That's up to them. That's their issue. They turn up to watch them, you know what I mean? But I hated watching Burnley. I hated Everton v Burnley. I hated it. Every time I'd sit at Goodison, I'd just think, just end this game, because I could not bear watching them. And he turned Everton into Blue Burnley.
He did.
Right? And it was horrific. Now, we've moved away from that. We're on to back to trying to get after teams. Let's see what we can do. It's positive. People feeling good. Can we go and win it? At the end of the day, they're better than us on the day. That's football. That's what it's about. It's about winning and losing, isn't it? But I'd rather us I'd rather us lose the game trying to win it than trying not to get beat and losing anyway. And that's my philosophy. Other people, I understand, might see it differently. They might be terrified of their own shadow and just don't want to get beat, so they can say, we haven't lost for 4 games, we haven't won. Do you know what I mean? Where I'd always want to go after teams and see how we ended up.
I think, and I'm pretty damn sure, and people like Andy will know this, won't he? Because he does all that good work with pro clubs and stuff. But clubs must bracket games, mustn't they? You know what I mean? So they go into a 5-match run or whatever they choose their bracket to be and say, we would like to get X points. Well, we all know it's not rocket science. 1 win is better than 3 draws.
Always.
And if you're trying to win games, and the first game in the bracket you win, logically, pressure must come off a little bit. But if you're always drawing games, or as you said, which is the worst part of it, is you're so fixated with seeking to avoid losing that you're always under pressure. There's no respite for the defence. Of course, they make bloody mistakes when they're getting harassed. Constantly.
Of course, yeah.
And then you get into this daft situation whereby you made the pressure harder. You know, but clearly if you lose the first game in a bracket, maybe you think that's pressure, but no, because we're playing in a certain way that next time we'll win. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you're right about Burnley as was, and Blue Burnley, you know, sort of thing. It's just unbelievable. And everyone loses on that. Look at all those players who've spent months being told they're crap. Fans who've believed the mantra and concluded there isn't a player here that we should have. They're all Championship, and even then they wouldn't get blah, 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 you know? Mad. And then you get a little bit of revisionism then about whether Director of Football did a really good job with player acquisition, and it was the manager letting him down by either not using them in the right way. The destruction of Jack Harrison. You know, if he moves somewhere else and suddenly becomes the Jack Harrison that was at Leeds, there's another nail in an ex-manager's coffin, isn't it, about what you've done. How much damage has been done to Branthwaite's development, or Nathan Patterson in a real example, just not even getting a game. All that goes away when every player thinks, well, you said it 10 minutes ago. If I'm Nathan, I'm knocking on the door, and Moyes is saying, come in, what do you want? I want to play. Okay.
Let's see, yeah.
No,
they've all got to believe they can play. Beto's interview's the most damning thing, I think, that anyone will say about Sean Dyche without saying
you can't not like him, can you?
No, but you just listen to what he says Moyes has told him, and then you just sort of go, the other fella just wasn't very good. But we have to move. It's done now, isn't it? It's gone.
No,
so we're back on it, and Lee says, "I boys think we'll nail Leeds tomorrow." But Saturday, Lee, not tomorrow. But fair play to you. The dinosaur is a relegation manager, simple. Moyes knows what our fans want, and he's very likeable. Yeah, listen, you know, we played well against them. There has been a rewrite in the history that people think we played brilliant against them for 86 minutes at Goodison. We didn't. It was, if you go and watch the 90 minutes again, it tailed off at 70 when players were destroyed. If he'd made the right subs, we'd have won the game. But we had them where we wanted them in that game, which means there's no reason why we can't have them where we want them on Saturday and get over it and see it out. So, but the field-goal factor, defo improving.
They're a much better team now than they were.
They are, but...
Yeah. Because the manager was going through his bedding-in period then as well, wasn't he?
No, that was a year before, when we battered them.
Yeah.
We battered them twice on the run at Goodison.
Yeah.
And 1 year we got the third goal. The second year we didn't get the third goal, and there was the difference. But confidence is flying, and that's what you need, and hopefully we can get a good result. And
3-0 up at half-time, yeah.
Whatever
There's a trend
it is.
to be maintained, Baz.
Whatever it is, let's just do it. And let's get past it. Let's see where we get a home draw. Gary and Wan say hello. Steve says, I thought I'd never ever say this, but probably the only time I'll ever want Liverpool to win a game is the Carabao Cup final against Newcastle. We're already used to the smugness of them, but the smugness of the Geordies would be unbearable. I could see them definitely beating Spurs though in the final if they win tonight.
It'd be a miracle if Tottenham win tonight.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Liverpool will batter them.
I asked Chris, you know, how many are you going to win by tonight? He said 4 would be nice.
I think it'll be 4. Yeah. I think they'll batter them.
Yeah. And if they get early goals, they could embarrass them to death.
Spurs are just... Oh, I know they won at the weekend, but even that Brentford missing sitters, they're all over the place. Liverpool are solid and consistent.
Consistent, that's the word. So, consistent.
And Liverpool will walk it and walk the final. So, Alex says, afternoon lads, can confirm it's true about Budweiser having the beer deal at the stadium. Got family being part of the negotiations. It's 2 separate deals with the Budweiser group. People need to stop flapping about what beer will be served. They have a load of different beers and most likely rotate them over based on sales and popularity. Fair enough, Alex. I can't confirm nor deny that. I'm just reading up the comments. Interesting. As long as they paid a big wedge for it, then fine. Everton Viking says he'd start Alcaraz against Bournemouth. Why not? Mark Mack says Snoods FC. Yeah, they are all snooded up, aren't they, the players in the training videos?
It's a bit cold.
Just excited to think that they're allowed to wear them again.
I was doing the school run this morning. I have to scrape the car again, Baz.
I know, mine was...
I was going to say, do you have to do yours to take it to the garage?
Fully iced up. But yeah. Josh says, hi guys, do we know if the test events planned at the new stadium will be streamed or even recorded for highlights? Doubt it'll be... I mean, I don't know. Is it just a friendly, Ped? Yeah, it's just a friendly, so I mean, Everton probably will do something because it's a historical moment, isn't it? A game of football played at the new stadium.
Yeah.
It's not the thing of first ever Everton game there, is it? It's just a game of football. So, but I'm sure they'll have a little package around it, whether it's just a few minutes or goal. I don't know. I can't see it being streamed, but I might be wrong, mate. Let's Be Having You says, afternoon all. See, Statman Dave thinks the big boys are going to come call him for Njai in the summer because he's had more take-ons than any other in the Premier League. Good. Well, 60, 70 million is the fee if they want to come and pay it. That's up to them. Alan says, be a good test this, see how the new style works against a really good team. Can't wait. First time I've looked forward to a game like this in ages. Yeah, good one. Blue Keeley says, think the new man will get some minutes. Think 3 behind Betov and Jai Lindstrom and the new man could be exciting. Alan says, what's the overlap on this waffle about Moyes? Dyche's style being similar does my head in.
Jamie said that, didn't he?
Garage, yeah.
He also said we a lot when he was referring to Everton, so it's not all bad.
Professional red.
Yeah.
Said it before and I'll say it again. And I've told him as well.
Send him that clip that I did for you.
Where are we?
Before James puts it on Instagram or something.
Let's Be Having You says, Moyes basically answered the questions I asked you, Baz, when he came in before the Villa game, saying he just wants to win games by hook or by crook at the moment, doesn't really care how we play. Yet we're playing miles better, and he wants much better than what we're given now, which means we could all start looking forward to it. Yeah. Adam says, Baz, listening to your chat with Fletcher about Moyes' record for the top four, and ironically, it was a conversation I was having with my mate earlier that day. I was also saying he had a solid record, but my mate disagreed, and obviously had done some digging and came out with the following. All competitions: Chelsea won 2, lost 7, Liverpool won 4, lost 7, Arsenal won 3, lost 6, United won 3, lost 7. It's definitely not bad considering what we have seen since. But upon reflection, he's probably right. We didn't batter them at Goodison. We beat them all, though. That was what I said. We beat them all at Goodison, didn't we? That was all I said. But we've hardly beaten any of them. Have we? Beat Chelsea a couple of times, been sporadic. So it's one of them, isn't it? I'd rather see us beating them all, like you've put down there, at least once in the next few years, than just rolling over like we have done.
I mean, the worst case you said was, I'll use my words if you like, sit on the edge of our own, petrified about losing and lose anyway.
United last season, when we beat us 3-0 at Goodison, for me was the worst result of the season. We were absolutely atrocious against the team who were absolutely atrocious, and we got beat 3-0 at home by them. And everyone just went, oh, well, it's Man U. They were terrible. So it's about going after teams, isn't it?
Just looking at before Moyes went off to United, the home games against Man United with him as the manager: won, lost, drawn, won, drawn, lost. So that's at home. So he's won half of those. And that's just picking one. It's easy. Just go on to evertonresults.com.
No, it's just it's a thing, isn't it? Of when you look at what he was doing with no resources.
Oh yeah,
beating them at home was a big thing.
And it's also in the current narrative about him being poor against so-called big teams. It's become 6 when it was only 4 then anyway. So,
Tom Max says, good afternoon, lads. I was wondering if the stadium tours will continue at Goodison after this season. No. I recently watched a YouTube video of nighttime stadium tour that seemed very good and kind of had a ghost theme to them, with programme sellers, money counters and staff acting as visiting supporters in dark stands. Just wondering what the plans are.
Phil, who sits behind me, and he watches us all the time, so it's for you, Phil. He went on it, said it was brilliant. You know, he's been seeing ticket holder forever, but he's still.
Oh, it's good to go and do it. It's the
nighttime part.
It'll be ended, won't it?
But they will stop
when we finish it.
Yeah, we should have a big sleep out there before we finish it. So.
Rob says, lads, who would you prefer to win the Carabao Cup if Liverpool won tonight? I'd rather Liverpool win it. Few people saying that, aren't they? Bainey says, talking of City, they just spent a fortune yet again in this window. Their case is being heard, yet they're still spending and still waiting for a verdict. What's going on? They threw the book at us twice pretty quickly, and the same with Forest. Baffling.
Yeah.
Must have had indication nothing's happening to them.
While you were reading stuff, I looked at Tottenham. His last 6 games as manager at Goodison, undefeated against Tottenham.
Who always beat us.
Apparently. Yeah.
Well, they were. I mean,
for
David Moyes was the first manager.
Stop the rot.
Was the first manager to beat Tottenham since David Moyes.
Yeah.
So, Blue Keeley says, we will sort them. Maybe we'll sort the Tenables. Steve Guy says, parking plans for around the new stadium don't look too friendly if you don't live in Liverpool. Has anything been released about the park?
Yeah, this morning.
Has it? Yeah.
City Council have. They've said what the, if you like, the permit zone's going to be around it. And I think what perhaps might have stimulated a response from the average fan is the social media tweets. They said fundamentally that the zone is basically you can't park inside the zone, obviously, and outside the zone is a 30-minute walk. So they're basically saying
that's a bit nonsensical.
That's the way it reads, yeah. But I checked for me and Teresa, and it's about 300 yards. Goodison, we're not the place we park every week. No, you like your second choice when your one's full. Or, as she calls it, our emergency parking space is 300 yards further away from Bramley Moor than it is from Goodison. So we could literally park where we've always parked and just have a 300-yard further walk, you know. But it also says something like 4,000 residents can apply for permits, 3,000 businesses can apply for permits in that area. I mean, clearly most of that's going to be for during the week, I guess, because and all the residents can have a +1. That must be in vogue, +1, I think. But I can't see it myself because the businesses can have up to 10 permits. So if all the businesses ask for 10 places, that's 30,000 permits, isn't it? So there's some opportunity there for some local businesses to make money getting permits and letting people park on the street. It'll all play out, won't it, when it comes to it? When people find their landing space and which way they prefer to get into the ground and how far they're prepared to walk,
there's gotta be,
and all that sort of stuff.
They're going to have to come up with something.
They are.
You can't have
absolutely.
half-an-hour walks. It's just nonsense.
Not for everybody,
it's
absolutely not.
Pissing down and all that.
That's right.
So it's nonsense.
I'd be interested to know how the zone, if you want to call it that, compares to what's around Goodison. Because I can't imagine you can park closer than 30 minutes walk to Goodison. So don't know why you can't park closer than, you know.
Weird.
How is it any different to what it is now, though?
That's what I just said.
Because you can park, but
You can't, though. You can only...
you can.
You park now on private land, don't you? Let's be honest, most people park now on private land. It's not really any difference, is it?
But the street parking closer
parking,
than 30 minutes walk.
Not much, though. There isn't much.
Well, that's what I've just said with my one, isn't it? 300 yards, which is 5-10 minutes or something.
You interpret it as there's somewhere to park, but most of it is private land, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that'll open up once.
Well, it's got to, because you can't. I don't see you
That's
can't.
up to the council, is it?
That's-
Yeah.
That's what the council...
Yeah, I don't think it'll be everyone has to walk for half an hour because there's car parks, multi-stories already in operation, which are literally a few hundred yards from the ground and stuff. Malmaison's, the multi-story there is going to be manic, isn't it? Because it's going to fill up and then people will be parked in it for an hour trying to get out after the game. So, but you know what fans are like? They'll find a way. As he just said, you'll find that.
It's not great, though, is it?
Or people sell their specs on their driveways and all sorts of things will happen, won't they?
Jay says, let's change the narrative. Bournemouth were a worry when we had a coach who brainwashed us into being terrified of everyone. We're Everton and we should never, ever be fearing Bournemouth. They are still a good side. I get it. Don't fear them, but they are a good side. Kevin Johansson says, hi, you beautiful people. Do you think Everton will take advantage of clubs who need to sell players before July the 1st?
Hope so, yeah. If they're players we want, yeah, absolutely.
Possibly, yeah. We don't know. We won't know till we get that far down the road, but we might be able to.
Absolutely. But observation about the last but one, we should never be fearful of Bournemouth. Not Bournemouth the club. Bournemouth the team. They're a better team than us.
Yeah, they are.
They're a better team than us.
Yeah. Harrison says park at Liverpool 1 and walk down. That's probably like that's a good half an hour walk.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can if you do that. Imagine you need a bloody mortgage, Liverpool 1 more than 2 hours. You know?
Well, wait till that Malmaison and other car parks, they'll all have interesting pricing structures, won't they?
Brian says we could have beaten Bournemouth twice this season, but haven't. With Goodison now back to its barking best, we can most definitely win on Saturday. The Park End at last shall roar again, because he's in it. Does John think Lindstrom could develop into an Andy King type player? He asked this yesterday.
That's a hell of a long time ago to think about, yeah. Yeah. There you go.
That just felt like...
He's developing now, isn't he? As a Premier League player. Clearly, the work ethic he's putting in will make David like him. But we need product, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's where Alcaraz is interesting, because there's another player there with similar attributes who can allegedly play in similar positions, a bit wide, but probably really nearer to a number 10 or an off the striker and so on. And that allows David to play tunes on basically all three of them, doesn't it? If you think of Lindstrom and Dye and Alcaraz, I can play tunes on all three of you guys. Yeah. So, Sophie says,
quite funny when we're on a good run and the media selling our best players, lol. That's right, Soph.
Have they just woken up to the fact that Dye's having a great season? Yeah. It's because he's added goals to all the other stuff, hasn't he? Is it 4 games on the bounce he scored, or 3? Something.
3 on the bounce.
3 on the bounce, yeah.
Marseille. Toffee says, and during that era, those teams were all brilliant, and it was a top 4 you couldn't break into.
That's true.
So, United have been dross Chelsea, it's dross Arsenal, not won anything yet. We still haven't really beat them.
It's also true.
Gareth, I'm not away for the Liverpool match. We've won all these games while I've been there. So I'm not sure you've been there, so maybe you should stay away.
Oh dear.
Lee says Moyes is the best manager we've had since Moyes. Fair play. Probably fits Everton the best.
As an Everton manager, he means, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we have some Ancelotti bloke?
MB says the last tour you can book is on Wednesday the 30th of April, and that's it.
Really? Wonder why.
Unless they just haven't.
Is that the nighttime thing?
I don't know.
Because it won't be dark, will it, after then? So.
Strength and honour, so it's kind of cool we leave Goodison with Moyes.
No, that, yeah. I'm sure he'll have a big intent of not losing at home in the last ever league game at Goodison Park. So.
Well, everyone should have, shouldn't he? No matter who you're at.
What a game that's going to be, by the way. So we'll be safe and all that rubbish, right? Southampton have long since been relegated. 2 teams playing a game where it's just about who's best. There's no pressure. Fantastic.
Southampton 3-0 up at half time.
Yeah. We win 4-3. Or on penalties. Oh, don't do penalties on the league.
6-0 it should be. Batter them.
Yeah.
Give it a good send.
So I can get a framing then, because I got the Sunderland one for the last Millennium game. Yeah.
Got to just get to that stage and not need anything.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And ideally, that game won't even be on that day.
Because it will be moved.
Be moved because we're at Wembley.
That's right.
Winning the FA Cup the day before.
That's the one.
And we'd beat Southampton, parade the cup before the Southampton game on the Wednesday, beat them 9-0.
And then all go on holiday and leave.
Yeah. Who cares?
Don't bother with the away game.
No.
Yeah.
Well, who cares? Who cares?
I think it'd be great to get it all lined up that way and the away end at Newcastle to be empty.
No one bothered. But people will go and enjoy it. Go to Newcastle, beat them, why not?
78 are doing a big flag day again on Saturday.
Are they? Yeah.
Yeah, both ends, I think. I think it's Gladys Street and the Park end. So
Interesting.
if you go on their website and volunteer, put your name down, they'll be in touch.
They still needed 30
or 40 people. Yeah.
So,
and Derby as well, yeah.
If you're interested in helping for the Merseyside Derby, go on their website.
Doesn't matter what stand you sit in. Don't, you know.
Yeah, just go and give them a hand. Go and give them a hand.
That'll be a biggie.
Right, last couple. Eddie says, would you sign Mavadidi from Leicester? Nope. A one-word answer. And James says, I'm on Regent Road quite regular with work. There's loads of off-street parking in and around the new ground. Shame.
That's what the zone's zoned out today.
He's probably saying, shame the council's decided that we can't use it. It's dead on this road of a weekend or at night.
It's going to be 50,000 people down there. It ain't going to be dead, is it? If you just open it up, it would be chaos, wouldn't it? It would be absolute chaos.
They'll pedestrianise a fair amount, won't they, on match days? Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. We'll see. It's not ideal, but we'll have to just suck it up, won't we?
We can all arrive as early as we want.
No, I know, but it's the
You've got to coming out to the issue.
You've got to think of it pissing down.
No, I get
windy,
it.
Freezing.
It's coming away from the stadium. That's the issue.
It's not good enough.
Yeah, coming away is the issue.
Not good enough. But let's see what happens. Right, like, subscribe, do all that. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Take care.